I'm aware that for many of you, this will be the first of my videos that you're seeing, so I figure that I should give a very short introduction. My name is GiBi, and the point of my channel is to document interesting people and interesting events. I don't look after lolcows, I study what I call lore cows. Most of the documentaries that I make are rather positive. I did one on the T-Tuber community, which is a community of people who love Thomas the Tank Engine. I made another one about a scientist who wants to build underwater habitats for hamsters. There are, however, also negative ones, including one about filmmaker Derek Savage, and of course a documentary about Chris Chan. When my documentaries get very popular, I'll usually make follow-up videos or series updating people on what's happening in the subjects' lives. None of my videos have been more popular than those on Chris Chan. So every week I have a Chris Chan update video talking about the things that are happening in his life. Some weeks are very inane and very few things happen, others are extremely eventful. People tune in every week to see what's happening in his life. If you are only vaguely aware of Chris Chan from around the internet for the last 15 years, or if you watch Gino Samuel's documentary, you may not be aware of what he's been up to for the past couple years. He was an autistic adult who loved Pokemon and Sonic too much. He drew comic books and was making a fool of himself online for falling for trolls who convinced him that they were genuine girlfriends. Very unfortunate things happened, including these trolls convincing him to leak sex tapes of himself to them. In the mid-2010s, Chris became much more delusional. He started believing, a la Rick and Morty, that there were other dimensions out there where everything that could possibly happen happened, including the events of his comic books. This led him to the inevitable conclusion that he was documenting a real place, and thus that he was some sort of god. He believes that he is part Sonichu. He believes that his father, who is now deceased, was part Sonichu. He believes that he is a woman, and no, that is not a dig at the trans community. Chris Chan has multiple personas that he will flit in and out of. For example, in 2020, he spent most of the year pretending to be Sonichu. He would refer to himself as Sonichu, use male pronouns, and then call Chris Chan his mama. The female persona that he uses, Christine, is based on an alien princess who is also the goddess of Kama, which is based on the Commodore 64. Chris only goes by female pronouns when using this persona, and he actually refers to his past self, his pre-transition self, as male, and uses the name Christian, which is not common with people who are actually transgender. Most people, including the trans community, who follow Chris, know and accept this. So please know that when I use male pronouns to refer to Chris, it is not out of disrespect to the trans community, it is because he's not transgender, he is delusional. I'm not one of the people who document Chris just for the sake of it. I do not go on the kiwi farms. However, I do have several contacts that are very close to Chris. Some names that you'll have to know are Noel, who is the current owner and operator of the kiwi farms and who is very close to Chris. The Watchmen are an organization of people who have decided that they wanted to protect Chris from people who would do him harm. Obviously, there have been a lot of trolling attempts over the years, but in the mid-2010s, there was one that is particularly heinous. A troll going by the name of the Idea Guy convinced Chris to do horrible things. This included slapping his own mother, telling the world that he is a pedophile, and giving the Idea Guy lots of money. After this happened, the kiwi farms vowed that this would never happen again, and so the guard dogs were formed. After they dissolved, the Watchmen took over. The Watchmen were a group of honest-to-goodness friends who actually enjoyed spending time with Chris. They would have movie nights where they all watched movies over the internet, and they would keep in contact with him. They had his real phone number. They could actually be considered his friends. It was only a couple weeks ago that a schism tore the Watchmen apart. One member accused the leader of doxing him and of other very bad activity, and so he was driven out of power. However, he had his followers, including MKR, who is the most public of the Watchmen. MKR believed that the man who did the accusing just wanted clout for his YouTube channel, so the Watchmen were mostly disbanded, and MKR lost contact with Chris. This Watchmen schism happened in late June. I was actually made aware of it on June 29th. This date will become important later. If you're watching this video, you will most certainly know the news that was trending worldwide today. You've also probably read the title. On the morning of July 30th, audio leaked of Chris talking about how he had sexual intercourse with his mother, Barbara, or Barb, or Barbie, as Chris has recently taken to call her. Chris believes that when people die, they go to the other dimension, the dimension that Sonichu takes place in. He uses this as a way for people to become immortal so he doesn't have to deal with death. One of his dogs recently died, and his first reaction was to post on Twitter about how his dog has moved over to the other dimension. A couple weeks ago, he posted about how his mother was actually going to be a Sonichu upon her death, or a Rosechu, which is the female form of Sonichu. Sonichu and Rosechu are, of course, the OC Sonic/Pikachu that Chris created for his comic book. In the leaked audio and in leaked text messages, Chris described in vivid detail what he would do with his mother. He talked about digitally penetrating her, cunnilingus, and sexual intercourse.
So yeah, she's got really sensitive G-spot because apparently I don't believe that Mr. C, any of her past boyfriends and ex-husbands, they haven't really reached and hit her G-spot really with their dicks. Approached her with care and caution, so I just gave her comfort and talked with her, and we just branched out slow and steady, and then I encouraged her positively, let her make the first move. She wanted to do it. And
she did? Really? She made the first move?
Yeah. I think she was partially confused at one point, but then she came around, obviously. But it took us a few nights to figure out what felt right and what didn't feel right. And
does your mother enjoy it?
Yeah. She's having a good time, literally.
She is?
When asked if he referred to her as his mother or as his romantic partner, he said that he's come to call her love whenever he must refer to her. At the moment, nobody knows who the leaker of all of this was, but more information is still coming out. In fact, by the time you see this, that information might be made public. At the moment, we have reason to believe that this call lasted about 4 hours, and yet all that's been revealed is a 10-minute video. A lot of this information is, again, subject to change, or maybe just be wrong. When this happened, there was, of course, immediately a firestorm online. Noel did not believe these accusations to be true. Noel knows that Chris is keeping a secret from the public, and Noel actually knows what that secret is. He believes that Chris was trying to keep this secret from the person on the other end of the phone, and so he made up a lie. Some people believed it was real immediately. Others believe that he might be coaxed into saying it as if the person on the phone was like the idea guys, that they were forcing him to do it, or that they were cutting up disparate pieces of audio in order to make a fake phone call. And of course, other people believe that Chris was lying. There is a fourth subset of people who believe that Chris actually does think that these things are happening, but that he's wrong. Chris currently believes that he is married to the Pokemon Mewtwo, and he'll often run on Twitter about how he is having sex with Mewtwo. He'll talk about how he's going to the other dimension. He'll talk about how he has magical battles with deities. It would make no sense to discount the fact that he might be incorrect about having sex with his mother the same way that he is incorrect about having sex with Mewtwo. None of us actually believe that he is having sex with Pokemon, so maybe we should give him the benefit of the doubt, and maybe he is only having sex with his mother in his imagination. In case you are unaware, Chris has actually talked about having a fetish for old people, specifically his mother, for about 10 years now. It's something that has come up very often. It's possible that in his sexual frustration, he merely believes that he is doing these things, just as he believes that he is contacting his fictional spouses from the other dimension, or that he has psychic battles while he's driving his car. A couple hours after this information was posted, many people called the police on Chris. The police went to his house and did a wellness check. Barbara was taken to a local hospital to be checked out. It is likely that they will give her a rape kit to see if she was actually penetrated, and it's also possible that they will do a mental health check to see if she is actually lucid. We as the public do not know how lucid Barb is. We see her occasionally in some of Chris's videos and live streams. Very often she does not seem capable of stringing two words together, although sometimes she is. Chris having incest with his mother is, of course, nowhere near as bad as Chris having incest with his mother who is not lucid and not able to consent. Incest between a mother and a son is a Class 5 felony in the state of Virginia where Chris lives. This is a very low-level felony, and can actually be brought down to a misdemeanor depending on the circumstances. It's actually unclear which way this might go. Chris is, of course, delusional and not mentally fit. He actually does not have a job because he is on disability. This might have the jury go more lenient on him. Although, on the other hand, because of his mother's advanced age and lack of lucidity, it might cause them to go harder on him. Either way, if he's found guilty, it will include prison time. However, if the charges include rape because of her lack of lucidity, then things would be much, much worse for Chris. The police detained Chris, however, he was not arrested. It's very likely that he was simply questioned. Very shortly after, he was released, and he has been banned from returning to his home for 6 days, and of course he is not allowed to contact his mother, who, as far as we know, is still in the hospital. People on the Kiwi farms divulged that Chris had a place to stay for the night, but they would not tell the public who he was staying with. This later changed when those plans fell through. The original plan was that he would stay with his extended family. We know that he has an aunt and uncle who live relatively nearby, but apparently they have rejected him. Nobody wants to take him in, and so at the moment we do not know where he will be spending the night, nor where he will be spending the next couple of nights until he's allowed home. We also do not know what is happening with his pets. He has several cats and a dog that still live in the house, and now him and his mother are not home. Nothing really happened for about 10 hours after that. I got in contact with watchmen from both sides of the schism. One of them, who will go unnamed for anonymity reasons, believed that the entire thing was faked, that people were jealous of the amount of money that Chris was making to go to a brony convention. Chris had been raising money to go to a brony convention and was actually earning a lot of money off of the Kiwi farms for this. He believed that whoever did this operation was simply doing it to knock Chris down a peg. They wanted to get their name in Christory, and so they forced Chris, or coerced Chris, into saying this and leaked it to the public so that they themselves would become famous. On the other hand, MKR immediately believed that it was all real. In my opinion, she has more insight than the other person, as she has been friends with Chris for much longer. She says that Chris would often talk about dreams in which he and Barb had sex, and his desire to have sex with her. She thinks it is entirely within his character to actually go through with it. According to the leaked audio, it took Chris quite a while to convince Barb to go through with it, although he does say that she made the first move. Unfortunately, it's unclear how much we can actually trust the audio. Chris has a knack of lying and having very grandiose statements. For example, he said that he is the first person who ever made his mother climax. None of her past boyfriends, husbands, or even Chris's father were capable of doing that, according to Chris, and yet he was. Even if the intercourse between the two of them actually happened, I highly doubt that that's the case, thus everything he says should be questioned. For context, however, Chris claims that him and her first had sex on June 27th. This would have been 2 days before I found out about the schism in the Watchmen, and possibly while their fight was going on, meaning that this all only happened after the group that was protecting him disbanded. One of the Watchmen members reached out to Chris and asked him if he had in fact done it, and Chris responded simply by asking how the person would react if they knew that he had. YouTuber Dylan Thomas also reached out to Chris and asked him what had happened. Chris said that it was none of his concern and that rumors were just rumors. However, as time went on, Chris decided to reach out to these people himself. He reached out to the Watchman and told him that he had, in fact, slept with his mother, and he also reached back out to Dylan and told him that, yes, he had, in fact, slept with his mother. These were all revealed at roughly 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and since then the fallout has been immense online. That was not supposed to rhyme. Oh, that also rhymed. That's fantastic. So as of now, it is all but confirmed that these events, according to Chris, did actually happen. We do not yet have anything from the hospital about Barb's well-being. We don't know if she is lucid. We don't know if the rape kit showed that she had actually recently had intercourse. In fact, we technically don't know if they actually did that or if they were just doing a mental health check, but if they were doing their jobs, they would. We don't know if there's going to be a warrant for Chris's arrest. We don't know where he's sleeping tonight. And we also don't know if he is a reliable source about his own life. When I first planned on making this video 7 hours ago, unfortunately I was not able to because I was at my day job, I planned on merely putting forth a timeline and not injecting any of my own opinion. However, at this point, I don't think that that's really possible. I personally believe that there's a very good chance that everything that we've been told is in fact true. There is, of course, still the possibility, and dare I say, hope, that this is merely part of Chris's delusion, that he's merely convinced himself that it actually happened. In fact, after Dylan went public with the information, Chris reached out to him again and told him that he had actually lied, that he told Dylan that yes, he did have sex with his mother, but only to test Dylan's truthfulness, to test if Dylan would leak the information, which of course he did. This is probably just Chris covering his tracks, but it also could be legitimate. Chris has done very stupid things like this in the past. Very recently, in a Twitter thread about sex, Chris wrote about how he didn't think that shame was a useful emotion anymore. He thinks that it's outdated and that humans should not feel shame. That is probably what somebody who is sleeping with their mother would say. With that said, I need to be careful, as does every other YouTuber, in actually saying that Chris committed this act. If somebody is arrested for a crime, journalists who are covering that crime cannot say that the person is guilty. They have to say that the person has allegedly committed the crime. Otherwise, it is slander and libel. So I'm very sorry to have to report to you all that Chris allegedly actually has been having sex with his mother for the last month, that she is now being looked after, and that he is temporarily homeless. The story is updating every single moment, and of course there's actually other Chris-related things that happened before and around this event. I plan on having my normal weekly segment later in the week, probably around Tuesday or Wednesday. I just needed to get this out so that people would know what's happening. I'm assuming that other people, like Base Shaman, Rogue Internet Man, and Dylan Thomas, are already making videos about this. Like I said earlier, this actually trended around the world on Twitter. It was at least number 13 in the United States, although other people have claimed it was number 5. I've also been told it was trending in Germany, Japan, Argentina, the UK, Canada, and various other countries. Big YouTubers like JonTron are actually posting about it. I really can't see this story going away soon. I've said in the past that Chris Chan is a bad person, and usually I'll bring up the times when he has attempted to commit violence. He pepper sprayed a guy in the face, although he mostly missed, and he also hit a guy with his car, although it only did minimal damage. Granted, the guy was hurt enough to have to sue Chris for medical bills. I have said that Chris is capable of violence, it's just very lucky that none of his victims were seriously injured. I will bring you more updates as they happen. I'm very gracious to the people who have sent me links and asked me questions over the last day, and I am especially thankful for people who said that they turned to me for honest and objective news. I will continue to bring you updates on this topic as things occur. On one hand, it is possible that in a week's time, Chris and Barb will return to their house as if nothing happened. It's also possible that Chris will be in jail. For these smaller and up-to-the-minute updates, you can go to my Twitter, which is at GiBi_Devin. For bigger news, I will be posting it in my community tab, and for updates, I will be making more videos. I wanted to keep this video rather factual, so I have not talked about my own emotions or opinions on the entire topic. That will be another video that I'll be posting at a later date. I think I already said thank you for watching, but my brain is very, very fuzzy. The Chris Chan Encyclopedia, which is called the Quickie, has actually been down. It was down for most of this past week due to server errors, but it's currently down probably because too many people are trying to access it at once. Like I said earlier, he was trending worldwide, and so a lot of people are trying to look and see what he's all about, having just now heard of him. So yeah, unfortunately, our access to a very big wealth of his past information is gone, at least temporarily. For that reason, I recommend staying up to date with other Chris Chan YouTubers. Again, Rogue Internet Man said that he was going to be streaming tonight, and I would not be surprised if Dylan had a video up very shortly.